My Dad. This is a story about my father. His name is Douglas, and he is very unlucky sometimes. Just like me, he loves shopping, but he never seems to find a bargain. One day, he and I were shopping in a large precinct called Banham. He picked up some pens and paid at the counter before we left the shop, and went into the next shop. In the next shop, he saw the same pens and pointed them to me. "Just my luck," he said as he pointed out the price to me. "They're a few pence cheaper than the ones I bought earlier," and he tutted as he walked away. The next shop we visited was the same thing. The very same pens were even cheaper, and I laughed at his annoyance at the price. But it was the next shop that had me in stitches. This time the same pens were on a special offer. My father could not resist buying more pens at 20% discounted price, and smiled as he paid the girl at the checkout counter. As we left, he turned around and said, "Well, that's better." He could not have been more wrong. As we entered the next shop, his face turned from smile to frown as he saw the gigantic display of stationery. On the top were the pens again, and in front of them a sign, "Buy one box, get one box free." My father let out a growl of discontent before picking up 2 large boxes of pens and heading towards the counter. "What are you doing?" I asked in a confused voice. My father stopped and turned around. "They are not going to get the better of me," he said angrily. That happened almost 10 years ago, and he still has almost 200 pens in the cupboard at home. I suppose he will never have to buy a pen again, but I'm getting a little tired of receiving a pen included in my Christmas and birthday gifts. Thinking about his unluckiness more, I remember something else that he did many years ago. It was in the summer of 1985, and all of my friends' parents bought a VCR, or video cassette recorder, so that they could record movies and TV programs from the BBC and ITV channels. I had been asking him to buy one for ages, and then finally he went out and bought a VCR one Saturday. At this time, there was a war between Sony and Philips and the 2 formats of VCR, Betamax and VHS. Wars between companies are common, and right now it's between DVD and Blu-ray. But my father chose a Betamax machine, and just as usual, he made the wrong choice. A few months later, it was announced that Betamax was finished, and so it was almost impossible to buy or rent Betamax films and cassettes. But I must admit that the Sony Betamax was a much better machine, and the recording quality was much better than VHS. Unfortunately, though, I could never borrow any of my friends' films, and it used to make me feel a little disappointed when the films were rented in the shops and could never be watched when they get home. Over the years, my father has bought products that never took off. A vegetable peeler that removes more skin from your fingers than the skin from the vegetables. A car washing brush that is supposed to wash the car for you, but washes you more than the car. I still laugh at his burglar-proof lights that were designed to switch on your lights at the desired time so that criminals think that you're at home. The lights he bought never did work right, and they were described on the box. They would switch off when you were halfway up the stairs and would turn off when you were carrying something. His house flashes like a disco whenever he goes out. After all of these years, he still does the same thing. When we stayed there this year, I looked in his spare room where he hides all of his things, and it was just like a shop. He has boxes of things, all kinds of things, from microwave ovens and toasters to TVs and even old radios that no one uses anymore. All are brand new and still in boxes waiting for him to use them. My father still loves shopping, and when we were there he wanted to go out with us all of the time so that he could buy more things. My mother said that he is crazy and not to let him go. But I am exactly the same, and so I watched as he bought more things that will store in his spare room and smiled as he found them cheaper in the next shop. The end. Thanks for listening. See you next time.